But now it is time for Terrible Twos.
Bottom line.
Also known as the bottom line. It's the final two questions of the show. Terrible Twos / bottom line, but mostly the Terrible Twos. Question number
Only
one.
known as the bottom line. Yeah.
Question number one is, on a scale of 1 to 10, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, what would you give this first episode of Wellington Paranormal? Here we go. It's going to be a high one.
I'm interested to know what I gave What We Do in the Shadows, because I don't remember. Don't tell me yet. I know you'll be looking it up, because I'm giving this show a 9.5. 9.5.
Wow.
9.5. This is
zip
This
zing.
is a great show, in my opinion. Very hilariously funny. I love it, and that's all I'll say for now.
That is spoiler. Don't listen if you don't want to know what he rated What We Do in the Shadows. You gave What We Do in the Shadows only a 9. You gave this a 9.5. Okay, come on back. But of course, if people are listening to hear me say spoilers and come on back, they also heard what.
So that's what I had thought, because actually I had watched What We Do in the Shadows before and then rewatched it for this podcast and thought some of the jokes weren't as funny. But I actually watched this first episode twice as well. I watched it last week when it first premiered, and then I watched it for this podcast again, and I found the jokes just as funny. So I had to rate it high.
Yeah. It's fun that you watched it twice as well as the other time. Melissa, on a scale
as Wellington.
Of, yeah. Oh,
twice as Wellington.
I like that. Melissa, what would you give this on a scale of 1 to 10? The first episode, only entitled Demon Girl.
I'm gonna go with a 7.7. I would have gone with a 7.8 had it not been for all the vomiting.
Vomit.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Next time we have Melissa on the show, we've got to find a show with a ton of vomit just to see how low she can go with her numbers. Like maybe it's a show just about like the different smells and tastes of other people's vomit.
Gosh.
That sounds like a show that I wouldn't even want to watch.
You know, let me tell you guys a quick story about vomit.
Okay.
One time when I was a kid, my family and we went to the beach.
Oh, I think this is probably a throw up story, so I don't think we really want to hear this.
No, it's okay. And I guess one of our dogs, Annabelle, she wasn't the smartest. She drank a lot of the seawater, apparently. So in the car, on the way back, she vomits on the floor of the back seat. And of course, me being a child, I laughed quite a bit. And quite a bit, you know. It was gross, but I laughed quite a bit. My parents were like, stop laughing. I don't know why. I guess they thought I shouldn't be laughing because they're thinking, we got to clean this shit up and this kid's laughing his ass off. So now they decided to punish me for laughing so much by making me clean it. Now I know that it was just a trick, just so because they didn't want to clean it. They're like, well, we need to teach them a lesson not to laugh. I'm like, what does that even mean? No. So I got to clean this. And it was like a big chunk it was like oatmeal or something, right? I guess, no, it's probably dog food. And so I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to clean it. So I go in the backyard and I find one of those like gardening tools, the one that's like 3-finger kind of things that like scrape, because I need to like scoop it, right? So I'm trying to, you know what I'm talking about, the thing that's like 3 fingers. And
yes.
So I get that and I kind of scoop it out and like fling it onto the ground or whatever. But here's the point of the story. It stopped being funny when I pushed down on, it's like carpeting. I pushed down on it and like juice came up.
Oh my god!
And I smelled it and juice came like bubbling up like little, like a bunch of little old faithfuls. Anyway, that made me gag. And then I was traumatized. Anyway, so the point is that I would give this episode a 7. That's the point of that story.
Okay.
Anyway, And it was anyway. So the
I'm traumatized.
yeah, it was pretty bad. I can still picture it. I was maybe like 7 or 8. The final question is, and the most important is, for the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Wellington Paranormal. But now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, would you watch the second episode of your own?
Now I'll tell you a little story. When I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, we were driving home. We used to go to this place called Sea Ranch up on the coast.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, good.
And like the road there is just very windy to get there and get home. So we were driving home, and like our friends were in a car behind us, and I think maybe it was like the curviness of the road made me not start feels too good. So I stuck my head out the window, and my friend in the car behind me is like, "Oh, hey, Mike's sticking his head out to say hi." And there was just this line of puke down the side of our car that my dad had to wash off. They did not make me clean it off, thankfully, because I was.
So the car behind you didn't actually receive.
No, it was just all on the side of my
Okay,
car.
good. I thought you meant it was like a stream that,
and on
like
the
they
road,
poked their head out. We're like, oh,
no, it was pretty thick also, so it kind of stuck to the side of the car. But the point is that I would watch the next episode of this series. The next episode is available. I haven't watched it yet because I wanted to stay true to this show and only watch the first of things. But I am very eager to watch the second. I'll probably have to watch it on my own, because my wife isn't too into the creepy stuff like I mentioned, but I will be watching the second episode. The second season of this show is already out in New Zealand and will be coming soon to the US after the first season premieres. And they're actually just started filming season 3 as well. So
wow, look at that. That's great news. Melissa, would you watch the second of your own volition? Oh, it's a toughie.
Assuming that there's not throw up in the second one too. So
well, we don't know that.
I would watch the next episode, even if there was. I can close my eyes if there's some kind of warning.
Only for a moment, but the moment's gone.
Yeah.
All right. Wow, what a deal. Well,
dust in the wind.
See, he knows it. Kansas.
All we are is dust in the wind. Ryan.
No, I would not watch the second episode of this.
Oh, so surprising.
I gave it a 7. I thought it was good. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it. But when it ended, there was nothing that made me say, I want to watch the second episode.
There was no cliffhanger that made him say he wanted to watch the second.
A lot of times it's a cliffhanger that does it, or it's something that where you're just like so pumped at the end that you're like, I can't wait to see the next one. It's gonna be kind of procedural, like separate little episodes, which is fun and easy. I recommend it to anybody. It's only like 21 or 22 minutes long, so it's non-committal, fun, great. I personally would not watch the second episode, but I wouldn't be opposed to watching the second episode. There was nothing I didn't enjoy about it. Everything was fine. Everything was good. It's just,
he just doesn't want to give me the satisfaction of saying that he would watch a second episode of a show that I recommended.
I want to give you the satisfaction of saying it was a good show and I gave it a 7. And I'm not disappointed that we ended up watching it. I was fine with it. I liked it. Yeah. But no, you don't get that satisfaction.
But you hate it. He likes it, but he hated it.
Melissa's like, do you want me to leave you two alone? So, yes. So that's it, everybody. We did it. Thanks, Mochi, for showing up and leaving constantly. Nice butt.
Shoving your butt in Melissa's face.
And headbutting each other. Look at those headbutts. Wowie. That's it. So if you want us to review a show that you like or hate or haven't watched, or just think would be hilarious, except for My Little Pony. Look, if 10 people say My Little Pony in the comments below, we'll think about it. But anything but My Little Pony, just say WTF and not My Little Pony. And everybody at home, remember what Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say.
Wait. You forgot to tell us what this podcast was.
That's what you always like to say. This podcast was normal.
This podcast was paranormal.
Mhm.
Oh, what was that?
This podcast was
Pressure's on. Don't panic.
Suspenseful.
Oh yeah. Now don't forget what Michael Kenyon Rosenberg likes to say.
Don't forget to register to be an organ donor and watch the first of things.
Yes.